doesn't matter which industry you're in, whether it's sales, tech, finance, crypto, AI, it doesn't really matter. If you're somebody who wants to be credible and likable, becoming a good conversationalist is at the center of it all. So in this video, I want to share 8 ways in which you can become a better conversationalist today. The first one is something you've probably heard before. It's been used and overused. It is to have a good body language. Albert Mehrabian was somebody who was a body language researcher, and he came up with something called the 7-38-55 rule. 7% of all of your communication and conversation is words. The 38% of all communication is vocal, which means the tone of your voice, what it sounds like. And 55%, which is the biggest chunk of it, that's body language. To level up your nonverbal communication game, here are a few things that you might need to start paying attention to. The first one is something that we call the eyebrow flash. When you meet somebody familiar for the first time, meet them with an eyebrow raise. It gives you a sense of familiarity. It gives the person watching you a sense of, oh, I'm welcome here. I'll be okay. The second aspect would be the eye contact bit. Learn to hold eye contact. It projects confidence and it projects a sense of reassurance. Next, use a real smile. 8 out of 10 times, if you have a fake smile, the person looking at you can tell. And finally, the tone of your voice. Don't be too cool to look excited. Actually make people feel like they're welcome in that conversation, that you're actually excited to be talking to them. All right, that was the body language bit. Now we come to the next bit, which is using people's names in a conversation. Dale Carnegie says, remember that to a person, their name is the sweetest thing that they can hear in any language. When you start talking to a person, listen to their name correctly, make sure you pronounce it right, and drop it in conversation so that the conversation feels more personalized. The third element is asking good questions. Do you know the common thing among workplace interviews, work meetings, and dates? It's that all 3 of them feel a little bit let down when the person in the conversation doesn't ask enough questions. This might be the most important bit of becoming a good conversationalist. Even if you don't pick up anything else, pick this one up. You need to have go-to open-ended questions. Get people to open up. Some of my favorite go-to questions are, have you been watching any fun TV shows off late? Could you recommend some to me? Do you have any fun travel plans lined up this year? The list could go on, but I'm just giving you an idea of what type of open-ended questions you should be asking in a conversation. The next element is to be okay with awkward silence in a conversation. A little bit of silence doesn't do any harm. When you ask somebody a question, give them the time, a few seconds to process that question and come up with an answer. Number 5, practice active listening. Many people don't know what this means. Even I didn't until very recently. I thought active listening just meant listen better. A good conversationalist is obviously a good listener, but becoming a good conversationalist also involves reflecting on the person's answer. You do this by rephrasing and paraphrasing what the person just said to you, but in your own words. This lets people know that you're actually listening and are interested in the conversation. For example, somebody could come up to you and say, last week I spoke in front of 50 people at my office. And you go, whoa, 50 people, what? Repeat back bits of their sentence. Number 6, be empathetic. If somebody is expressing emotion in a conversation, frustration, happiness, sadness, anger, whatever it is, step into their shoes. Feel what it's like to feel that way. If somebody tells you that they had the most terrible day and describes it, you go, oh, that sounds like such a terrible day. I can't even imagine what I'd do if I was in your shoes. That gives the distinct impression to the person you're talking to that you care. Number 7, make the other person feel like they're actually important and do it sincerely. The 3 easiest ways to do this. Number 1, don't look at your phone in the middle of a conversation. Number 2, don't look over their shoulder as if you're looking for somebody else better to talk to. And number 3, stop one-upping people. If people tell you a really interesting, good story that happened to them, don't reply with, oh, you know what, this happened to me as well. That's the worst thing to happen in a conversation. And finally, number 8, share stories about yourself. I know that this may sound a little contradictory based on whatever you've heard so far. It's because you don't want the conversation to be like a grilling session. It's not an interview. You're not just peppering them with questions. You want it to seem like it is a two-way flow of information. So wherever possible, wherever the opportunity arises, also share bits from your life so that this conversation feels like it's a mutual exchange. These are my 8 top tips to become a better conversationalist. And if you found any of them particularly useful, do drop them in the comment section below. I'd be happy to see that you're actively listening to what I'm saying.